Hey everyone, my name is Samantha and welcome back to Blacklisted Technology. Hey everyone, in today's video I'm going to talk about why you should focus on solutions and not sales tactics. I get hundreds of messages each day on LinkedIn of people trying to sell me something, and their tactics are never effective. In this video I'm going to go over how to solve problems, what to focus on, and how I closed over $300,000 in deals in 1 week. The first thing I do when trying to find a solution for a problem is I know my product or I know my solution. I know that my solution is going to be the best on the market in order to solve this problem. And I know any oddball questions that the consumer might ask because it's so important to know what your solution is from A to Z. Because if you don't know what you're selling or talking about or the solution that you're trying to promote for this problem, then how is a client supposed to trust you? So I think this is vitally important. And I see many times that people don't take this first step of really getting to know what their solution is and why it's the number one solution that clients need in order to solve their problems. The second thing I always do is research companies. And I want to say this again, research companies. It is vitally important because I receive, like I said, a lot of emails a day and even messages on LinkedIn of people trying to sell me things. And they're never effective because it seems like they've sent this message to thousands of people and it's not personable. And I think that's very important to research a company and find out what they're doing and even find out if they recently got funding or if they recently won any awards. Because if you start a message off by saying, hey, I saw that you just raised $5 million in funding, congratulations, I just wanted to reach out and say, I've been following your company and great job. That's going to be much more effective than a company asking me, hey, what's your problem? What are you facing? Because I actually receive many messages just like that. And I feel, in my opinion, it would be much more effective if they looked into my company and they thought, okay, this might be a problem, and come back to me and instead pitch, hey, I saw that you might have a problem with this within your company. And I have a couple solutions that might help that. I don't know if you wanted to have a conversation about this, but I really think that, this conversation can benefit both of us. And I think that's very important because it's not only saying, hey, I did the research, but it's getting to know the person as an individual and letting them know that you're dedicated to whatever it is you're trying to sell. And by creating that personable aspect, you're able to be much more effective rather than sending out one mass email and playing a numbers game. Now, the third thing I do is to ask questions. And I mean, you've probably heard this in every single sales scenario, ask the client questions, etc. But the thing about it is, I think a lot of salespeople aren't asking the right questions. When you ask someone a generic question or send them a generic question through LinkedIn, in most cases, they're not going to reply or shut it down because it's like, I've heard this question, thousands of times and it doesn't have much value to it. But if you're asking specific questions within the company or questions that are going to grab their attention that are very unique, you're more likely to get a response. It's very important to ask the right questions in order to find commonalities. Now, any deal of high value that I've ever sold, it has solely been because I've been able to find commonalities with me and the consumer or client. Now, this is very important because just in human nature, you want to be with people who are like you. You want to talk to people who you have things in common with, and it builds trust. That's why it's extremely important to find commonalities and focus on those and really grow from each conversation you have. And sometimes it can even be things as little as, you have the same favorite food, you grew up in the same area. It can be anything. I know one time with a client, it was that we had been to the same restaurant and they had a great dish. It was completely random, but it really created some type of trust where she was then able to open up more because it's like, hey, I've been there, and they get more comfortable with you. And it's extremely important for a customer not only to trust you, but feel comfortable enough to talk to you and be open if they're actually interested. Now, by finding these commonalities, it actually saves a ton of time because they're going to be more straightforward with you. So if they want the product, or they want the product but have something that they feel kind of off about that's holding them back, you're going to be able to discuss this with them more openly because you have found those commonalities. So I have to say this is definitely the most important thing to do, to find those commonalities so you can build trust. And by doing this, you're not only going to get this client on board, but you're going to get referrals. And that's why it's so important when solving a problem to find things that are in common that you can then grow from and close the deal. So in my sales career, I have seen so many people be quite aggressive when closing deals and even get very angry if they didn't, and even angry at the client. And this is something that I've always stepped back and been like, that is in no way helpful whatsoever. And if anything, it's going to make clients run. You never have to be aggressive when closing a sale because if your solution solves the problem, then sales is just letting them know about what your solution is and how it's going to help them. In order to close a deal, you need to believe that your solution is the best on the market and no one else can compete. And by knowing this and having the confidence, that's how you're going to get the client on board with everything and get a reoccurring customer as well as referrals. Thank you so much for watching today's video on why you should focus on solutions and not sales tactics. Make sure to check out my website at black-listed.technology as well as Blacklisted on the iOS App Store. Thank you and see you next week.